I was about to lose about £20,000 of our rent roll for the next 4 to 6 months. Welcome to the first episode of this YouTube series. My name's Kenny Sahuta and I've decided to run my business while travelling the world for the next 12 months. What's happening, guys? What can you expect from this series? Well, let me first start with saying what this YouTube channel is about as a whole. For those that don't know me, I run a few businesses within the real estate domain, mainly holding rented real estate assets, real estate development, from acquiring to building and adding value to property and holding them for rented cash flow, and my core business, managing our portfolio in-house as well as other client properties. So now that you know what I do in a nutshell, let me explain what this YouTube channel is about. 90% of my time seems to be around work, as my wife likes to remind me. If I'm not working, I seem to be thinking about work or some sort of personal growth. I've learnt a lot, been through the trenches, got the battle scars, and I feel that I can add some real life value to you guys, the viewers of this channel. This channel will be focused on how I make my business fuel my passions in life, and perhaps how you can do the same. So please go ahead, feel free to hit that subscribe button if you can resonate with that. Don't forget to hit that bell icon for notifications of the weekly videos that I'm going to be promising you guys. And I promise you guys, I will give you real life content, show people what my days really are like as they're happening in rapid speed. And as the empire continues to grow, and as my machine that I've built continues to grow, I want to share that with people, whether it's just for my mum or everybody else. I'm putting this out there for better or for worse, completely unfiltered, unscripted, and I apologise ahead of time for any crazy shit that comes out of my mouth. For those that don't know me personally, my passions in life are business, of course, motorsport, I love collecting cars, I love food, and travelling and exploring the greatest gift in life, planet Earth. Which brings me onto this series, ladies and gentlemen. In November last year, me and the wife decided to pack our bags, leave the UK, and travel the world for the next 12 months. She took a career break, but I wasn't able to just leave the business behind or shut up shop. I had to adapt, put systems in place in a very short space of time, I must add, and continue to operate during my travels for the next 12 months. This series will focus on my day-to-day of running the business while still enjoying the pleasures of travelling the world. Oh, and since I'm not a billionaire yet, it will be like every other traveller I've come across, on a serious budget. There may be good times, there may be frustrating times, firefighting remotely, there may be staff issues. I sure as hell I've had my fair share of those in the past. And what people don't realise, it's what we need to do to be able to put out those fires internally, within our mind and our actions. Either way, you'll see it all. I'm sure I'll make mistakes that you can witness. I'll work out solutions like I always do, which you may be able to learn from too. So stay tuned, guys. I wanted to create this quick section in the video just to update my existing fan base. Yes, my very small fan base that is, on Instagram. Follow me on Instagram, link in the description, guys. I used to get the odd messages here and there, and I still do sometimes. That was before I started posting very recently, of people asking me where I'm hiding, what's going on, is everything okay? I can assure you guys everything is absolutely fine. The reason why they're asking is because I've been very non-existent on social media. My last post was in 2020, just before the UK went into full lockdown. I mean, prior to that, I was very, very consistent with social media, since it was managed by a social media company anyway, who were very good, by the way, I must add, who also helped us with marketing our property events that we used to run back in the day, and our mentorship programs for people that wanted to grow our portfolio. And sorry about the noise, there seems to be some hotel development works going outside of my apartment here in Argentina. It feels like I can't seem to leave a development site behind. So here it is for the record, guys. Where have I been for the last 2 years? First and foremost, I'm well. My health, mentally and physically, are all good. It all started on my trip to Athens back in March 2020. I love traveling and take as many breaks as I can. So whilst I was in Athens, the city went into full lockdown. Luckily for me, it was a very short trip and I had to return to the UK within the next few days anyhow. Now, in the UK, we had a lot of speculation, a lot of people not believing the seriousness of COVID, including me actually. And then it happened. The UK went into full lockdown, and within days, I was about to lose about £20,000 of our rent roll for the next 4 to 6 months. I was about to deal with the biggest downfall in the economy since the last recession in 2008, and also deal with a lot of tenants going through some serious mental health issues. I had never experienced anything like this before, and I must say to all of those out there who went through the same thing and got through it, applaud yourself. You did what a lot of businesses could not do during this awful time. My scheduled events had to be cancelled, my mentorship programs had to be paused, and the entire world came to a halt. During this time, I had put my entire focus and energy on just treading water and learned to live with a completely new way of life. At this point, social media was the least of my worries and my priorities. Hence the radio silence, and my business had to change in many ways. From all staff working from home, dealing with tenants whose behaviour completely changed, I was stunned to see how many of our tenants who have been so peaceful completely change, become completely unstable to the point of being sectioned to supported living. Tough times for everybody, guys. So again, be thankful, take gratitude if you have a roof over your head and if you're able to make good decisions on a daily basis. I hope that clears everything up for my existing followers. Now on to the next phase of my life and what this series is all about. So during the last 2 years, I'll be very honest, I found myself becoming very lazy, very complacent, and I started to fall into bad habits. Things that I'm normally completely against. Things that I preach about avoiding completely, I fell into a comfort trap. Every other day was stressful. The daily anxiety of running a business through the pandemic had led me to do the other passion I have in life, driving cars really fast on the empty roads of London. I'm kidding, that is illegal. What I mean is foods. I was eating the wrong foods, I was binging on junk food, and what it did is it caused my mood to get worse. And of course, the belly, it grew. Now, you know what the saying is, behind every successful man, there's a woman. I can vouch for that. Shout out B, my wife. It got to a point where she had helped me realize what I was doing and I needed to fix up fast. So I hired a personal trainer during lockdown and I started to work on the things that I can control in my life, and that was my fitness. I had a goal of getting to 65 kilos and by God's grace, I did it. So that was one tick in the box, but there was still something missing, guys. I felt trapped in my own business. I wasn't able to grow. I felt I was doing the same thing every single day. There was no real progression for the future and life was kind of boring. How many of you can resonate with that? What I found was there were still a few flaws wrong with the business as a result of the pandemic. For example, non-paying tenants, assets that just were not performing to its full potential, and even some properties that I had were just very old, dated, and really needed a refresh. Something needed to change, and that change had to start within, internally, up here. I somehow needed to get out of my comfort zone, which is something I knew in the past that was something that really got fire in my belly to get done and start achieving again, start growing again, and start finding my passions again. So in November 2021, me and my wife made the decision to go travel the world for the next 12 months with a target leaving date from the UK of March 2022. It's something we've always wanted to do together and we just felt the time was right to do it, and we needed to make it happen because we knew that it was probably most likely never going to happen again in the future, not for that duration of time anyhow. Now, unfortunately, the decision came at a very challenging time. I was actually in the middle of an exit strategy for a part of my rent-to-rent portfolio, which at that time, around November, suddenly fell through. And on top of that, I had a key member of staff for that portfolio leave to pastures new. I now had to transform the business. We're talking about 12 months of transformation within 3 months, a very, very short space of time because of our target leaving date, which was March 2022. So here's a snapshot of what I did to drastically transform our business and our bottom line and to put the systems in place for operation to continue without me physically being in the UK for the next 12 months. Now, I've worked remotely before, but never 12 months. I think at the maximum I've done is 3 months, and the business still needed me to be present at least every 3 months. So things had to change. Okay, so the first thing I did was take a look at the books. I identified the low-hanging fruit and I mothballed them, whether it was selling or whether it was leased property or rent to rent, as we like to call it in the UK, returning the properties back to the owners. I sold some of the portfolio that were high risk, that needed to move with the times by providing product that was more demand for, especially during COVID. For example, people didn't want to share bathrooms. We found that our studio rooms were performing much better, completely outperforming everything else. So essentially, I downsized my portfolio. I felt that the quality of the bottom line was far greater than the number of assets that we had in our portfolio. On the other hand, my competitors were changing their model. They were going down the social housing route or the supported living route, where they would get guaranteed income from the government. But I felt that it wasn't suited to my specific products and also to my landlord clients for those properties that we hold on lease or rent to rent. Another thing, since we were already working from home, the next thing was to actually close the office. It was an unnecessary expense. It wasn't actually needed. And as a result, that saved us almost £3,000 worth of expenses every single month, taking into account everything to do with having an office. There was a key portfolio manager role within our core business that needed to be filled, which we did fairly quickly. We didn't have much time for training, so I needed someone with a lot of experience, and I am grateful for her joining our team. I'm sure you guys will hear the both of us in video meetings in the future of the series. Now, the next part I noticed was the tremendous amount of money we were spending on repairs and maintenance. Since the other decision I made in November 2021 was to not take on any new projects in my construction and trades business, which not many of you know I also had to reduce my construction and cleaning costs, I actually took a permanent member of staff from that business and offered him a caretaker role within our management business. Shout out Alan. Just to let you know, Alan is ex-GB weightlifter. He's roughly around 60 years old, so he's old school, and he's done absolutely wonderful things in life, and he's a massive inspiration to me, and I'm sure he's a massive inspiration to our whole team. So now that the core team were in place, I needed to start making processes more efficient. From storage to store our staging equipment and furniture, since we had no office, and with nowhere to put the key cabinet safe, needing to allow staff to gain access to our assets, our portfolio. So what I did was I had Alan install key safes on each of our properties that we own. Highly recommend it, guys. It will save you a ton of time when you have a contractor that needs to go out to fix a boiler or fix some sort of plumbing issue, and the tenants aren't in, and you are obviously responsible for the communal spaces in properties like HMOs. Sometimes you can just allow the contractor to gain access by giving them the key code. They can take out the key, let themselves in, put the key back and lock up. But just be sure for security to regularly change the key codes. And if you are interested in doing that, I've put a link in the description to the product that we're using. Feel free to go ahead and use it. There were many things I needed to put in place as part of the transformation, but unfortunately, if I go on about these, I risk losing you guys as the viewers. So I won't bore you to death on all of these extra systems in place, but I tell you what, if you have any specific questions, write your questions in the comment section below, and I'll be more than happy to answer all your questions. So that now brings us on to the good stuff. traveling. Our travel so far. So the target date was actually the 1st of March 2022. That date came very quickly and I still had a lot of stuff to do, quite a lot of work to do. At this point, we still hadn't actually booked anything as yet. And then finally, on the 14th of March 2022, we finally took a flight and decided to start off in South America, here in Argentina. We flew to a city, the capital city called Buenos Aires, where it was nice and warm, and I got to see some amazing properties with beautiful architecture. Now forgive me guys, I didn't take any content or filming this place. After 3 months of hard work and recovering from the last 2 years before that, I really needed some downtime and I just needed to just chill. However, on the 21st of March, we took a 17-hour bus journey to a place called Iguazu in Argentina, where we saw the amazing Iguazu Falls and visited the border between Paraguay, Argentina and Brazil. They call it the tri-border. There we had some days of good weather, but the remaining days we experienced complete downpours, thunderstorms and even power cuts. Check this out. Thursday morning, it's pissing down. Argentina, hopefully you can hear me okay, very windy. And we are at, it's called a place, something to do with three borders. And we have the Brazil border there, in that direction. You should see the Brazil flag somewhere. And you've got the Paraguay border. Flag. Yeah, unfortunately it's pissing down, what can we do? Either way, we're still here and enjoying ourselves. Next, on the 25th of March, we then made our way back to Buenos Aires via the 17-hour bus journey, which was the original capital city that we flew into from the UK, and then from there took a flight to a place called Trelew. Our next few destinations were all in a place called Patagonia, which is the southern region of Argentina. Technically it's the southern region of Chile too. We then started in Trelew as a stop-off, then hired a car to drive between Punto Tombo, where we saw penguins, experienced some serious thunderstorms and power cuts, Either way, it was all worth it. And then driving to a place called Puerto Madryn and Puerto Pirameds, where we saw sea lions, elephant seals, even armadillos running around. It actually is a sight to sight orcas, but unfortunately we didn't get to spot any orcas being out of season. It was amazing to see. Roll on the montage. Now, things started to get really interesting. From roughly around the 31st of March, towards the end of March, to where we are now, we then took a flight to the most southern part of the world, guys. Some people refer to it as the end of the world. Here, you can actually take a boat trip to the Antarctica. Unfortunately, it wasn't in our budget or our timelines. A trip for another day, maybe. The views from our apartment, which we've been finding on Airbnb and Booking.com, was stunning. Hit it. So here we are now, 1 month into traveling, or almost 1 month into traveling. We are still in Argentina. Argentina is very big, much bigger than the UK. We then flew to the most recent two places where we are now, El Calafate and El Chantal, which is where I am right now. These were both by far the highlight of this trip since we've been here, since we've left the UK. We experienced walking on a real glacier, trekked and climbed super hard mountains. We're talking 10-hour treks, things that really test your endurance. Well, mine anyway. The 10-hour trek was only 2 days ago. My legs are absolutely shattered right now and my body is killing me. My wife, on the other hand, she's actually out trekking as we speak. I had to take the day off and I thought I'd film this content. Anyhow, here's a montage of the past week, and just a pre-warning, prepare to be amazed of what you're about to see. What is up, guys? Sunday morning. Today we're doing the big one. It's called Laguna de los Tres. It's like a 10-hour round trip, 5-hour walk each way, and it's going to be a tough one. I'll keep you updated along the way. Peace! We're about 15 to 20 minutes into the hike and we've come to our first checkpoint. It's quite a nice viewpoint actually. Gosh, how beautiful is that? Get the sun in there.
What a view. What a fantastic view.
Made it. It's 3:30. Last leg, basically the last hour, was really difficult. My legs were cramping up and I just couldn't do the last part, but I think it was worth it. This is what we've come to. So here we are now. We are on our last night here in El Chantel. I believe there's another trek booked in the diary for tomorrow. Hopefully my legs will recover by then. Who knows? We then take a 24-hour bus journey to a place called Bariloche, which is our final place in Argentina. And then we fly to, in fact, comment below if you can guess where we're going next. So that's all for episode 1, guys. Hope you enjoyed the first intro video of the series. Stay tuned for episode 2, where you can find out whether my legs did indeed recover. Also, what's going on with the business back in the UK? Is operating the business remotely still working a month into the journey? Am I still as disciplined? Am I still sticking to the routine? Find out in the next episode, where we finally fly out of Argentina. Have a smashing week. Peace.